Good evening, good evening, good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center. But before we do, the usual disclaimers. So, folks, I literally just walked over here with my headset still on my head from my work desk. I was able to take an hour and a half off early, and I did. Whew, it's been one of those sort of Damocles type of work months. So I'm just enjoying knowing that my call center weekend has started. Every time I see you all mention Friday and I just sit there jealous. All right. If you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or with the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's so-called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center didn't want them to write that article so much, let alone save it onto their website, that they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, folks. You know the drill. Please read the article. Share it on all your social media. We also have NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the RC actually sees through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center and Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and utilize the headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is very much advised, all right? Okay, so where we left off yesterday, the FDA disagrees and addresses the commenters' assertions. Remember when they believed that the FDA ignored all the evidence in regards that favored the GED device, when in fact we're in a situation where evidence outside the bias studies done by the JRC within the last 20 to 30 years wasn't used because it doesn't exist. But let's move on. That's just to give you a little context there. Regarding the specific information and data and separate comment responses in this final rule. We're kind of re-going over it. FDA has thoroughly reviewed available data and information with multiple opportunities for input from the stakeholders on all sides of the issue. So what we're talking about, folks, is surveillance video footage, which very much speaks for itself. We are talking DESI reports. We're talking survivor stories. We're talking the doctor's records that back up those stories. We are talking about input from the highest ranked doctors in the field. We're talking about comments from the largest providers of disability services inside the United States. That's who we're talking about here. I don't blame the FDA for going with their decisions in regards to the issue. The FDA considered all additional information submitted to the docket in this rulemaking, including comments by the public. Survivor stories, folks, in person and in writing. Testimonies for those of us who worked in the field, because remember, I wasn't just a self-advocate, I was paid to be one by the state and could speak on basically speak through a professional capacity, as many did. There were caseworkers, there were directors of said mental health and developmental disability services. The list is endless, literally endless. The public comments and data and information, as well as court documents, including transcripts and exhibits from litigation related to the use of ESDs for SIB or AB. Again, this is where they shoot themselves in the foot by not naming the GED specifically, because this lands into the clusterfuck of confusion that has got the ban repealed. And now we exist in a world where the JRC has so much hubris, pride, and power that they think they get to sue the FDA. This is the world we all live in now in 2024. We are going to be going over that as soon as we finish getting through this. In some cases, as explained in responses of various comments, the comments led the FDA to reconsider and change its evaluations of particular sources. In other cases, the docket information repeated previously received material, thus reinforcing our evaluation. Basically, all the current data backs us. It backs these other treatments and programs that have been developed over the last 40 to 50 years since the JRC founded itself, okay? The majority of planet Earth utilizes those programs instead of what the JRC gets up to. If that doesn't speak volumes, for the love of God, there is no help for you. Just saying is all. In other cases, the docket information repeated previously received material, thus reinforcing our evaluation. Some information was not relevant, for example, when it sought to refute a premise that the FDA did not rely upon in the proposed ban. If the JRC would have had their way, the way they've had in so many other court cases and shady backroom deals, then the only data that would have mattered was the skewed so-called data coming out directly from the JRC. Out here in the real world, if you work out there in the field, that's not how any of it works. When they're talking peer-reviewed studies, they're talking about outside institutions and research facilities, folks. Places that have zero connection to the JRC. Nor are they inclined one way or the other in regards to the debate. The reason why such a study has never happened is that literally every institution, research facility, university, and otherwise that have been approached in regards to doing such a study has refused to do so because they believed it was a violation of ethics. Just saying is all. That is why, because when making decisions in regards to the public health, especially for those of us who are developmentally disabled and neurodevelopmentally disabled, to be a bit more specific, you get what I'm saying, right? They relied on current information. Current practices and programs and treatment plans that are being utilized now throughout the entirety of literally the rest of the planet. Okay? The JRC throwing in studies that literally, some of them date back to the 50s. I shit you not. When you put that up against current medical research, it's just a sad joke. But let's read on, right? Sorry, folks, allergies. However, the FDA did not dismiss evidence that supports the use of ESDs for SIB or AB. We weighed all available data. In regards to data and information that they're talking about, folks, they're not talking about the skewed studies being pumped out by the JRC. They're talking about the actual data, including, as absolutely meaningless as it was, the studies done dating back to the 50s. Taking into account its quality, such as the scientific rigor supporting it. Ding, 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 we got a winner! The objectivity of its source and recency, and any limitations that might weaken its value. Scientific rigor is greater than when the study includes randomization or other controls and covers a large number of subjects. For less controlled studies, such as a case report, a greater number of study subjects across many reports will generally bolster confidence. For example, when many case reports are examined within a meta-analysis. Thus, we generally gave more weight to observations under controlled conditions than to reports of anecdotes, which means those parent testimonies in favor of the JRC and their skewed data didn't hold up to all the counter information. And how could it logically? When you literally have every single country on planet Earth using different treatment programs and methods, and you're the only person sitting there beating your chest saying, we must shock the disability out of them, that will make them stop the behaviors. You look like the embarrassing tool that you are. Just saying. And for those parents who just simply religiously go along because the Judge Rotenberg Center has given them what they wanted to see, you failed your kids. You're failing them every single moment they are still inside that school, and you failed yourselves. That is your kid. Your kid is your responsibility. It is your duty as a parent to protect them. There are extreme situations in autistic households. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and tell you a lie. However, to be willing to ignore all signs of the horrific torture and abuse that your kid is being put through in that school, and to use as justification of keeping your kid in a hellhole, that suddenly you are seeing the behavior you want, the price the kid has to pay, be damned. Yeah, just saying. And if you want to scream at me, what's the answer? I can tell you there is never an easy answer. But you can get started the proper way by getting a full functional behavioral assessment done. Let's finish up, shall we? Thus, we generally gave more weight to observations under controlled conditions than to reports of anecdotes, thank God. Similarly, peer review bolsters confidence because the process allows other experts to question or critique potential inaccuracies or errors. This is why we have the peer review system in the first place, folks. And again, the reason why those studies are not more recent is because everybody and their mother has said no. Okay? Just saying. Think on it. Parents, if you are a person that follows authority, if you're a person that is inclined to trust the doctors and the experts, do me a favor and trust the thousands of doctors, neurologists, psychiatrists, psychologists, everybody that and their mother that has come out to speak against this. The whole medical model stands against what the JRC is doing. That should speak volumes. We generally gave more weight to the results of the study in peer-reviewed journal than we did to non-peer-reviewed papers. And I hate to bust the JRC's bubble here, but those cooked up studies that they pulled out of their ass would not be determined by a government entity like the FDA as being peer-reviewed. Actual peer-reviewed means you are in magazines like Psychology Today, and you give the opportunity to other research centers to refute. Okay? We're going to go ahead and close out on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time, so please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time tonight, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you in a second.